This episode, we're going to switch gears. No, we're going to switch some gauges a little bit. We're going to jump up to a G gauge and do a repair video on this LGB. It's a Forney from Germany. What is that thing floating around on the screen? Well, come to find out that me and the feller that wanted to get this train fixed, we didn't ask the big dogs. That train has its logo on it of the hospital. And in order to get permission to have the logo show up on a video, it takes an act of Congress, and we don't have that kind of time. So we just decided to scrub the logo and any mention of the hospital completely out of the video, so that way I wouldn't have to wait 9.5 months to publish this one. So I apologize about it. I got to filming a little early. I just found this out today. So, okay, sorry. I'm Ron with Classic Model Trains. Follow along, show you how we get this thing running again. Now, this old girl showed up at the hobby shop and it was broken. And they says, yeah, we know a guy that can fix this. So it got into my hands. Turns out this is used up at one of the local hospitals here in town in the Pediatrics ward. They got a layout that runs around up there on the top, you know, around the walls, up really high. And it's got some cars behind it. And this distracts the kids, the little ones, when they're getting shots, from what I understand. Things, stuff. Gives them something to focus on. This old girl's been running up there quite some time, and she just quit running. So I'm going to take you on a little journey on what we did to get her going again. This little bug, well, this big bugger, it's kind of a monster, and I want to know, how much does this thing weigh? I mean, honest. That's coming in at 7 pounds, 5 ounces. Holy moly. That's a lot of locomotive right there. These G-scale things, I tell you. The post office, they're letting me borrow this here G-scale locomotive engine stand. Thought that was pretty nice of them. Is this all even going to fit in the shot? Oh, barely. Why are we working on this? Well, let me show you this video right here. And you can see from the way it's making all them noises. Yeah. So, I'm a betting that the gears are stripped out in this thing. So it looks like we've got 4 screws right in through here. There's 6. To get to where we want to go, we've only got to pop out these 4. Now, this cover here comes off. Oh, sure. See that? That ain't no good at all right there. That's in pretty bad shape. Them little boogers, they're wore. Here's the shoes for the electrical pickup. Yeah, they are completely zinged. They're zinged right off. Here's some new ones that showed up. Direct from Germany. Made in Hungary. Even comes with fresh traction tires. Strange how they're flat like a washer, but they're gonna go on like a tube. Is this gonna work out well? But it sure did. Here, I thought I'd have to have myself a fancy traction tire spreader. Now, listen fellers, don't freak out. Only one axle's made to have traction tires on it, and it's grooved on both sides. The ends of these things, they're timed, so it looks like I can just, there's screws right here. See this? For all this gear, I don't think I'm gonna have to take all that apart. I'm hoping I can just take out this screw, pop that right off. There's a screw here on the side. It's hard, I couldn't flip this thing over on its side. You're gonna have to take my word for it. I don't wanna lose these. They're big enough where I wouldn't. I'd figure it out though. So yeah, that was really nice. That just came right off. If I do the same over here, this one's pointing down, and this is the non-traction wheeled one. 2 different part numbers here. So this is where all of our timing is gonna be at. So I'm gonna make sure I do the same thing. Try to keep these as close as we can. Oh, look at that nice gear. Sure. So there's that one. Oh yeah, these things, they got me last time. See these that slide in and out right there? Maybe they're pickups also. They sure look like it. Yeah, they supplement the shoe because this is metal and this is the spring, it's contacting that. Yup, and it even touches over here. So it's got pickup on the shoes and it's getting pickup on the wheels. Man, fantastic. That fits on. Are they quartered? They sure are. Well, this is simpler than I thought it would be. That's a good thing. It's right up my alley. Tell you though, wouldn't mind taking these out just to see. 6mm socket right here. Oh, sure. Big washer, a little washer, and then a very coarse threaded nut. So of course I'm going to assume that the rod, the big washer, this rod, the little washer, the nut. So when I get to the inner workings of this thing, and I don't want these flopping around, that screw comes out super, super easy. And it's got a little bit of a crack forming. Oh man. These guys will come out and yeah, drive tire right there. This one doesn't appear to have had a drive tire on it. Traction tire. Now if a guy wanted to, you can pull out these two Phillips screws right here. This part comes out. And it's got your motor, it's all contained in there. It's got some spade connectors right here. Green, brown, and white. We should take those off. Then I can really open that up and root around. Drew me a little map here, in case I stroke out before I get done and I forgot how it works. Come in here. Oh yeah. Oh, these two are actually tied together. That'll make them hard to put back on. There's a little tiny black wire right there, jumper, and the whole thing. Let's get this big bugger out of the way. Now we're down to this. Those just pull out. That's nice. All that grease down in there, see, I want to get in there and I want to clean it all out so I can put some fresh stuff in it. A couple screws right here also. Maybe this will let us get in there. End pieces, they popped right out. Little side piece goes in with this narrow side going down. It's like a giant Lego. Two of those. That's going somewhere. Oh, now what's happening? Oh my God. Oh, look at that grease. Golly. There's a couple contacts right there on that motor. So when these guys come up from the bottom, they just rubbed up against this. This is all sealed up. I'm not going to try to open it up at all. This little metal feller coming up, sitting in this area here. It's contacts, sure. Just push up for them in here, coming out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in here with my odorless mineral spirits and my Q-tips, and we are going to clean and clean and clean. That grease is so hard down inside there.
True story.
It's like, it is, and then it, yeah, there's a significant amount. Oh, it's hard, like rubber almost. Ooh. Yep, time to get her clean. We're gonna do that off camera because that, just cleaning stuff. We all know how to do that. Come back when it's all said and done. You ever seen those pictures with the airplane pilot sticking his head out of the side of the cockpit? I wonder if those windows whistle. Kind of like the old ones did in the old days. Does you ever sit around and go, hey, it's got a matchbook I could shove in this crank? Yeah, ew! To say it was dirty, yeah, that's an understatement. I had to fill my little cup up here twice. So I've even got that much less of my odorless mineral spirits to spill all over the ground now, because I used two of these little capfuls. God, it was bad. Oh, man. Yeah, sure. This seems about right. All the little pieces that came out of there. Now I'm one more smarter for doing this. These are all cleaned up with odorless mineral spirits. Then I wash them down with some soapy water to try to remove any residue that might be on there. The motor's cleaned up. Had to use a brass wire brush to gently get all that old grease out of the grooves in here, out of the worm gears. Worm gear, yes. Here's the original one right there. It's wore out. Give you a little, you can see how bad, yeah, now you can really see how bad they were. Oh, man. We're gonna work on putting some of this back together here now. Little coppery pieces. Now, of course, I'm probably not gonna remember. I probably took everything apart way too much, but I wanna see how it works. So that's why I really get in there. Gonna use some Labelle 108 synthetic multi-purpose oil. We're gonna put just a tiny dab here on this end. Work it in a little bit because we know it's been a long time. Same with this end. Just a little bit less than too much. We should put some juice to this right now, just to see what it sounds like. DC power here. Give her a little juicance. Oh, sure. Now this motor, these wires here, they're running down this direction. And remember, them wires got to hook onto these right here. So our motor's going to go in this direction. Flat. Like so. So get this in. Oh yeah. This little feller here. This little feller come up along over here. These little guys went in. The little door wedge side going in first. These little contact fellers went under here like so. So these three wires, they're sitting at the back of the locomotive. This here's the front. This is the set of the front wheels that I'd never done anything with yet. So we'll get these drive rods off of them and we'll work on making sure everything's timed. The front did have the traction tires on it. And we do want to time these. So these two are going to be straight up. And this guy over here, he's got to be straight forward. Straight up. This little feller's got to be straight up. This is a pretty heavy locomotive. I want it to have a little bit better lube than just a light oil on these axles right in here. I'm going to pull out some of my multi-purpose synthetic grease. We don't really even need completely in right now. So here's the axle journal right here. I want to make sure that that's got some lube on it. It's a little bit less than too much. One guy come back and commented, just a little more than not enough. Yeah, that too. That's a good one. We don't need the grease to be slobbing all over the place. Kind of like how it was when we disassembled it and cleaned it up. That's from the factory. They were really going to town on it. They had to get things out. I'm going to put this in with this rod. Well, it's facing straight up, but it's actually upside down, but you know what I mean. Get this guy, put him in, sticking straight up. And you know you got it if your rods fit. Here's a good example of quartering. See, these two are down. This is a 1/4 of a turn farther forward. This bottom cover also pushes down, holds those in. We want to put our shoes on right here. And believe me, fellers, them little springs in there, they'll shoot out when you don't least expect it. Keep an eye on those little buggers. See how much this thing has been used. It has got some hours. A little bit of synthetic grease for this bottom right here. Yep. 4 screws hold this in. Oh wait, we better put these end caps in case this locks them in somehow. I bet you it does. When you least, yep, that would have made me mad. Got a really good view of the gears in the air right now. We're gonna give them some lubing. Multi-purpose synthetic grease on these worm gears. Learn what they're called. I was calling them pinion gears. Some feller said, hey, those aren't pinion gears, those are worm gears. Okay, fine. Hope y'all knew what I meant. We're gonna hit it up again. Spun that around. There's a lot of ring gear to cover up in synthetic grease. We don't want too much, but we want to make sure it's gonna get another 15, 20 years of service out of it. This cover's gonna go on with this depression right here. Goes over the top of these 3 wires. That's our electrical hookup going to the rest of the locomotive. And that's what holds the whole. Now these guys quit falling out. Now that we got our power truck all put back together, we'll work on getting these wires back in there. They should have gave a guy just a little bit longer wires. Yeah, oh my gosh. That took a significant amount of time. Put these 2 screws back in to hold the power truck in. Get these main rods hooked back on. Big washer first, and the rod, then a little washer and a little screw. We're not going to get on these too hard for torque. It's got the 2 pickups here, these 2 pickups here, and there's also 2 pickups back here on this tender. You can see them on the back side of this wheel. They look clean. Lots of pickups. It even picks up from just the tender too. Wow, look at that. This has got pickups all over the place. To give these guys just a little oil. I don't think they've had any for a long time. This old girl's back in working condition once again. Now that we got all the bench work done on this thing, it's all cleaned and re-lubed up. Let's get it up on the track and see what it looks like. We're gonna have to switch my transformer over here. It's got a variable voltage output on it. I gotta switch this up to G scale, so it puts out more juice. That's a nice quiet little locomotive right there, especially for its size. Now this track is filthy. It's been in storage for 100 years. I want to thank Liam down there at Rimrock Hobbies. He donated this G-scale track to me, so I had a little test track to run this on. I'm sure if I cleaned that track up, it'd probably be a lot smoother running. We're going to take ourselves a little field trip down to the hospital, hoping that we can lube up the wheels on the rolling stock. I'm sure they're dry as a bone. Give them a little love, maybe clean the track, see this thing running around the walls. Hopefully we can do that. They may not let me in with the cameras. We'll find out. The track's in actually pretty good shape. It looks like it's a brass track running around the perimeter of the room here. Somebody did a really nice job putting this in, but yeah, we've got nice cleaned track up here now. We're gonna give these axles just a little taste of Earl here to help him get on down the track. Don't forget this little feller. Gotta do him too, Earl. Look at these groovy couplers right here. These are like the old school American Flyer ones back in the day, or yeah, big monsters. Oh sure. That come out real nice, you betcha. Give the little one something to focus on. They got an old Tech 3 up here running this thing. Boy, the old gauges say she's pulling pretty near an amp, running at about 14 volts. Sure. Since this transformer's up on top of a cabinet, they've got a light switch. Make it nice and easy. I turned the momentum on, so that way it doesn't start out at full throttle. It'll slowly wind itself up. We might get a couple more years out of the new set of gears right there. So I'm glad this job here is all whooped into shape. It was pretty cool working on my first G-gauge locomotive, LGB import out of Germany. Trying to find the parts for this thing was really pretty easy. I just started Googling around LGB parts. First place I found was an importer out of California. Then I found this place called onlytrains.com. They're down there in Buffalo, Minnesota, you know. So of course I had to pick them because they're just across they're just a short drive down the road from me up here in Montana. Got to take care of the locals. Their website, every part was marked on there. Click on the picture. They sent it out so dang fast. It was the best. So this is awesome. Thanks so much for joining. I'm Ron. Classic Model Trains. Bye-bye.